So hello everyone and welcome to this session on the topic anterior triangle. Okay, anterior triangle of the neck. You have already studied the posterior triangle. Now this is the lower end of the mandible, the base of the mandible. This is the anterior midline of the neck. Lower down here is the clavicle, and this is sternocleidomastoid, and here is the trapezius. So this sternocleidomastoid divides the quadrangle of the neck, into posterior triangle. So this is posterior triangle and this is anterior triangle. Somewhere here is the hyoid bone of the neck. Hyoid bone of the neck. So the muscle omohyoid runs like this. It's inferior belly, omohyoid, inferior belly, omohyoid, superior belly. So this is omohyoid superior belly, omohyoid inferior belly. It's the same muscle, but it has two bellies. Similarly, there is one more muscle over here, which is attached to the base of the mandible. And it has two bellies, stomach, gaster, belly. So a muscle with two bellies will be called as digastric. So it has an anterior belly, posterior belly. Omohyoid has a superior belly and inferior belly. Now this muscle is digastric. Digastric. It has two bellies. So this is anterior belly and this is the posterior belly of digastric. Now this is how, and this digastric is attached to the hyoid bone. This is how the triangles get further divided. Last time we have already studied that the posterior triangle, because of the inferior belly of omohyoid, is divided into a larger occipital triangle and a smaller subclavian triangle. Now the anterior triangle gets divided into four triangles. It gets divided into four triangles. This is called as carotid triangle. This is called as digastric triangle. Now here, the hyoid bone runs like this throughout the neck. Here there is a triangle which gets completed from the other side, and this triangle is called as submental triangle. The mental protuberance is there on the mandible, so below that is the submental triangle. And then this area also is, there is a triangular space, and this is called as muscular triangle. Not so important as regards your exam point of view, this muscular triangle, and its contents are mainly the strap muscles, of the neck. These muscles cover the thyroid gland, and that's why the muscular triangle. And the name muscular is there because mainly there are strap muscles. Okay. Now, if I have to talk about the boundaries of the digastric triangle, I would say superiorly is the base of mandible, antero-inferiorly is anterior belly of digastric, posterior-inferiorly is posterior belly of digastric. While if I want to write the boundaries of the carotid triangle, I would say antero-superiorly is posterior belly of digastric, antero-inferiorly is the superior belly of omohyoid. So antero-superiorly is posterior belly of digastric, antero-inferiorly is superior belly of omohyoid, and posteriorly is the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid. Okay. Now the submental triangle, I want to give you a view of this submental triangle. This is the mandible. We are looking slightly from below. Okay, we are looking slightly from below. And the two bellies of digastric, the two bellies of digastric. Now, if I see the mandible, the two bellies of digastric, they arise like this. They arise like this. So this is the anterior belly of digastric, and this is also anterior belly of digastric. This is the anterior belly of digastric of the left side, and this is anterior belly of digastric of the right side. Okay, so these are the two anterior bellies of digastric. This is the base of mandible. Okay, this is the base of mandible. In this diagram, this would be the base of mandible, and this will be the bellies of digastric. Now, here is a muscle called as mylohyoid muscle. Mylohyoid muscle. This mylohyoid muscle is also called as oral diaphragm. Oral diaphragm. So therefore, the diaphragm between the thorax and the abdominal cavity, we call it as thoraco-abdominal diaphragm. Because we don't just call it diaphragm, because there are many diaphragms in the body. The suprapleural membrane, which separates the neck from the thorax, is also a diaphragm. Oral diaphragm separates oral cavity from the neck, and that is formed by mylohyoid muscle. So there are these two mylohyoid muscles, and then there is a median raphe, and below here is the hyoid bone. So this is mandible. This is the hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone. And this is the mylohyoid muscle, one side, other side, together uniting to form a median raphe. So there are two mylohyoid muscles on the right side and the left. Okay. And there is a median raphe. So the boundaries of this triangle, which is called as submental triangle. This is the first triangle we are studying today, submental triangle. The boundaries will be on inferiorly, there will be hyoid bone. Inferiorly, there will be hyoid bone. And on both the sides of this triangle, each side, there will be the anterior belly of digastric. So inferiorly hyoid bone, and on each side anterior belly of digastric. Each side is anterior belly of digastric. The floor of this triangle will be formed by mylohyoid muscle. Mylohyoid muscle. Floor is formed by mylohyoid muscle. What are the contents? What are the contents of this triangle? The contents of this triangle is submental lymph nodes. Content of this triangle is submental lymph nodes. Submental. So this triangle is a median triangle. It is not a. There are no two submental triangles on both sides. Its apex is formed by the chin. Base is formed by the hyoid. Okay, so inferiorly we can call base. base is formed by the hyoid bone. And on each side is anterior belly of digastric. Floor is formed by the mylohyoid muscle. And the content is the submental lymph. This submental lymph nodes, they basically, most important two areas I would say, is they drain the floor of mouth and they drain the tip of tongue. Okay. They will also drain the lower lip, central part, and not so important as of now for you to know. So with that, we have completed the first triangle, that is the submental triangle. We said base of this submental triangle is formed by hyoid and apex is formed by mandible. Okay, so here is the apex. Apex is formed by mandible. On either side are anterior belly of digastric. Floor is formed by mylohyoid skin and the roof will be formed by skin. Skin, superficial fascia containing platysma. Okay. The contents are the submental lymph node which drain the lower, the floor of the mouth, the tip of the tongue, and also the central part of the lower limb. So that's about the submental triangle. With that, we move on to the next triangle, and the name of that triangle is digastric triangle. Digastric triangle. Sorry, students, I had written DIA at some places, but it is DIGAS, digastric triangle. Now we already know the boundaries of digastric triangle. This is the base of the mandible, and this is the sternocleidomastoid, and this is the digastric, right? This is the omohyoid, right? So this is digastric, sternocleidomastoid, omohyoid. I'm not drawing the details of the posterior triangle right now. Huh? So this is digastric triangle, this is carotid triangle. So here is the hyoid bone. Here is the hyoid. So digastric triangle boundaries antero-inferiorly is antero-inferiorly is anterior belly of digastric. Posterior-inferiorly is posterior belly of digastric. Okay, antero-inferiorly is the anterior belly of digastric, and posterior-inferiorly, the posterior belly of digastric. Superiorly is the base of mandible. Superiorly is the base of mandible. The roof will be formed by skin, superficial fascia. Now, whenever we write superficial fascia, we have to write superficial fascia containing this muscle platysma. By now, you must have studied this muscle platysma. Then supplying it is the cervical branch of the facial nerve. The facial nerve gives 5 branches, of which the one which comes in the neck will be coming here, like the cervical branch of the facial nerve. Then the ascending branch of the transverse cutaneous nerve of the neck and then there will be the deep fascia. Deep fascia is the investing layer. Deep fascia, which will split to enclose the submandibular gland. Now, actually, this digastric triangle, the area of the digastric triangle and submental triangle, they are covering a region below the mandible, which is called as submandibular region, which is the separate area altogether for study. That means if I go in the depth of the digastric triangle, there will be an area called, I will find the submandibular gland. Okay, so that, and if I go into depth of the submandibular gland and structures below it, I reach this region called as submandibular region. That means submental triangle and digastric triangle. These are the two triangles covering, these are the two triangles covering the submandibular region. Okay. Now here we have already studied the floor of this triangle. The submental triangle is formed by mylohyoid muscle. The same mylohyoid forms some part of the floor of digastric triangle also. Now I'm talking about the floor. Then here is a muscle called as hyoglossus muscle. Hyoglossus muscle. And then there is a muscle of the pharynx called as middle constrictor. Middle constrictor muscle. Now, as I am talking about the floor of the digastric being formed by mylohyoid, hyoglossus, and middle constrictor, I would also like to cover in this same diagram the floor of the carotid triangle. So I just draw like this. That means middle constrictor also forms the floor of the carotid triangle. Hyoglossus also forms the floor of the carotid triangle. Below the middle constrictor is inferior constrictor, which will also form floor of the carotid triangle. And here is thyrohyoid membrane. Thyrohyoid membrane. So floor of the digastric triangle is formed by mylohyoid, hyoglossus, and middle constrictor, and floor of the carotid triangle is formed by hyoglossus, middle constrictor, same as digastric, and additional there is inferior constrictor and thyrohyoid membrane. Okay. So now let me write down the floor of digastric triangle. The floor of the digastric triangle is formed by mylohyoid muscle, then hyoglossus muscle, then middle constrictor muscle of pharynx. Okay. So we have discussed the boundaries, base of mandible, anterior belly of digastric, posterior belly of digastric, set skin, superficial fascia containing platysma, cervical branch of facial nerve or in the roof, and the deep fascia, floor formed by mylohyoid, hyoglossus, and middle constrictor. Now, when we talk about the contents, of digastric triangle, they are divided into three. The contents of digastric triangle are divided into three parts. Structures superficial to mylohyoid. Structure superficial to mylohyoid. Now, for studying this structure superficial to mylohyoid, you need to understand the little bit about anatomy of the submandibular gland. If you take a transverse section of the neck, okay, a transverse section, then we find this on both the sides. This is the mylohyoid muscle. Okay, mylohyoid muscle, and of course this muscle will be slightly going like this. Deep to the mylohyoid muscle is hyoglossus muscle on both the sides. And the submandibular gland is a J-shaped gland. The J-shaped gland lying below the mandible on both the sides like this. So this is mylohyoid. This is hyoglossus and this is submandibular gland. This is a transverse section. So this is the lateral side, this is the medial side. This is anterior and this is posterior. So in a transverse section on both the sides, of course, this will be little far apart. That means superficial to mylohyoid is the superficial part of submandibular gland. So submandibular gland, this part is superficial part. And this part is deep part. This part is deep part. So deep. So by this, seeing at this diagram, I conclude that superficial to mylohyoid is superficial part of submandibular gland. And superficial to hyoglossus. Superficial to the hyoglossus. Superficial to the hyoglossus is the deep part, is the deep part of submandibular gland. Okay. So superficial to mylohyoid is superficial part of submandibular gland, and superficial to hyoglossus is the deep part. So submandibular gland has a J shape. It is J shape. Its superficial part lies on mylohyoid and its deep part lies on hyoglossus. Now things become easy for me to describe the structures lying in the digastric triangle. So whenever I start to writing the structures lying in the digastric triangle, first thing I say structures superficial to mylohyoid, and I write there A, the superficial part of submandibular gland. Superficial part of submandibular. This superficial part of submandibular gland will be covered by the facial vein. Okay, it will be covered by facial vein. Somehow, when we see the anatomy of the submandibular gland, when you will study it, the mandible will be somewhat like this. The submandibular gland, it is lying like this. What happens is the facial vein runs like this. This is mandible. It is a coronal section. This is submandibular gland. Right now, you need not worry about this. And the artery runs like this, deep to it. Okay. So we say superficial part of submandibular gland with facial artery superficial to the gland, sorry, facial vein superficial to the gland, and facial artery deep to the gland. So that those will be the structures superficial to mylohyoid. Okay, so that one will be superficial part of submandibular gland. B will be facial vein. C will be facial artery. D will be mylohyoid nerves and vessels. So students, we have started writing the content of the digastric triangle. So first we said structures superficial to mylohyoid. So what are the structures superficial to mylohyoid? Superficial part of submandibular gland, facial vein superficial to the submandibular gland, facial artery deep to the gland, and mylohyoid nerves and vessels. I had drawn a diagram for you. in a cross section. This is the mylohyoid, and the gland goes like this in a transverse section. So this is the superficial part of the submandibular gland lying on the mylohyoid, and then vein is superficial to it, artery, facial artery is deep to it. So these are the four structures in the digastric triangles which are lying on mylohyoid. The second, structures superficial to hyoglossus. Now hyoglossus muscle lies here. Hyoglossus muscle lies here. So superficial to it is deep part of submandibular gland. So when I start writing structure superficial to hyoglossus, let me draw a diagram first. Okay, suppose this is the hyoglossus muscle. Hyoglossus muscle. As the name suggests, starts from hyoid bone and goes to glossus, that is tongue. Hyoglossus muscle. Lying on this hyoglossus muscle, okay, is the deep part of submandibular gland. Deep part of submandibular. Here is lingual nerve. Here is lingual nerve. But and lower down is the hypoglossal nerve. This hypoglossal nerve is our 12th cranial nerve. Is our 12th cranial. Here, attached to the lingual nerve is the submandibular ganglion, and from that, fibers go to the deep part of the submandibular gland. So, if I have to enlist now the structures in the digastric triangle which are lying superficial to the hyoglossus, I would say deep part of submandibular gland, hypoglossal. Okay. Some talk about the intermediate tendon of digastric. The digastric had two tendons, right? Like this, and then like this, and in between is the intermediate tendon. So that intermediate tendon lies on the hyoglossus. So intermediate tendon of digastric. Now let us go to part 3. Okay. So what are the structures in the posterior part of the triangle of the digastric triangle? So the anterior part, the structures were divided into structure superficial to mylohyoid, structure superficial to hyoglossus. Now we are going to study the structures superficial to the which are lying in the posterior part, So I'll just draw some diagrams to give you orientation first. Now, this is the mandible, and here is the parotid gland, and parotid gland is going like this, and entering the parotid gland is the external carotid artery. External carotid artery goes inside the parotid gland and gives its terminal branches, superficial, temporal, and maxillary, and also gives a branch called as posterior auricular. So this is external carotid artery, and this is superficial temporal artery. We have already come across superficial temporal artery. It will go upwards and supply the scalp. And then this is posterior auricular artery. And this is maxillary artery. The terminal branches of the external carotid are superficial temporal artery and maxillary artery. And basically it gives three branches inside the parotid gland, and another is posterior auricular artery. But now let us concentrate on the digastric triangle. These two structures, the tip of the parotid, the apex of the parotid, lower part of the parotid gland and external carotid artery entering it will be the structure lying in the posterior part of the digastric triangle. So structures in the posterior part of the digastric triangle are divided into three. One, superficial structures. And the superficial structures we said lower part of parotid, lower part of parotid gland and external carotid artery, it is entering. Okay. So structures posterior to the in the posterior part, structures in the posterior part of the digastric triangle are divided into superficial, intermediate, and deep. So we are writing structures in the posterior part of digastric triangle. Structures in the posterior part of the digastric triangle. Okay. Structures in the posterior part of the digastric triangle are divided into three. Superficial, we already discussed. Now I'll directly jump to the superficial, then intermediate, and deep. Okay, or sometimes this is called as deep, and this is called as deepest. Superficial, deep, and deepest. Now, in the deepest part is internal carotid artery, internal jugular vein, and vein. In the superficial part, we have already said lower part of the parotid gland, and we said external carotid artery enter into it. So what lies in the deep part between the superficial and deepest? So if this is external carotid and here is internal carotid in the deepest part, in between will be structures passing between external carotid artery and internal carotid artery. So now these things become very important, structures passing between. Now how I'll tell you a technique how to remember it. Firstly, write styloid process. Firstly, write styloid process. Arising from the styloid process is styloglossus muscle. Styloglossus muscle. Another muscle is stylopharyngeus muscle. Styloglossus muscle, stylopharyngeus muscle. Now pick up the last word from here, stylopharyngeus. So pharyngeus, word, pick up the word pharyngeus. So combine styloglossus, stylopharyngeus, combine these two words. So glossopharyngeal nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve. Pick up the word pharyngeal, pharyngeal branch of vagus, pharyngeal branch of vagus, and some part of parotid. So basically, lying in the structures in the posterior part of the digastric triangle, we say superficial, deep, and deepest. In the superficial was lower part of parotid gland and external carotid artery. Lower part of parotid gland and external carotid artery. In the deepest part where vagus, internal carotid artery, and internal jugular vein. What are these? These are the structures in the carotid sheath. Structures in the carotid sheath. So if there is internal carotid artery in the deepest part and external carotid artery in the superficial part, so that means in the deep part are the structures passing between them. So what are they? One, start styloid process. Two, styloglossus. Two muscles are arising. Stylopharyngeus. Combine glosso and pharyngeus. Glossopharyngeal nerve. Pick up the word pharyngeus. Pharyngeal branch of vagus, part of parotid. I'll repeat again. Structures passing between the external carotid and internal carotid are styloid process, styloglossus muscle, stylopharyngeus muscle, glossopharyngeal nerve, pharyngeal branch of vagus, and part of parotid. So that covers the digastric triangle, and you will be again studying this digastric triangle when you study the submandibular region. Okay, you need to know anatomy of the digastric triangle because there are two glands here. There are two glands, the submandibular gland and part of the parotid gland. Part of the parotid gland. So regarding their surgeries, this anatomy of this area is very important, especially regarding submandibular gland. That's the applied anatomy of the digastric. Now moving on to the next, that is uh, the carotid triangle. Now carotid triangle, already you have a fair idea of by now. This is the base of mandible. This is the sternocleidomastoid. This is the anterior midline neck. This is the clavicle. This is the trapezius. This is the digastric. This is the omohyoid. Right? You have to practice this diagram. This is the carotid triangle. And floor, we said this is mylohyoid and here is hyoglossus. So this hyoglossus is also forming the floor. Then here is middle constrictor. This middle constrictor is also forming the floor of carotid triangle. And here we said is inferior constrictor, and here we said is thyrohyoid membrane. So boundaries are superiorly posterior belly of digastric, anteriorly in superior belly of omohyoid, and posteriorly sternocleidomastoid. Floor is formed by hyoglossus, middle constrictor, inferior constrictor, and thyrohyoid membrane. Thyrohyoid membrane. Okay. So floor is clear, boundaries are clear, and roof will be again the same. What are the structures in the roof? There will be skin, superficial fascia containing platysma, same structure, platysma and cervical branch of the facial, okay, and transverse cutaneous nerve of the neck, and there will be deep fascia. So skin, superficial fascia, platysma, the cervical branch of the facial nerve, and transverse cutaneous nerve of the neck. So that will be the roof. Floor by four structures and boundaries we have discussed. Now let's move on to the contents. Now these contents of the contents of the carotid triangle we will be describing in our traditional way. What is our traditional way? Whenever asked about any contents, you have to talk about the arteries, veins, nerves, lymph, right? Content of any structure. The digastric triangle, when we describe, that time we didn't use our traditional way of describing the content. Instead, we went structure superficial to mylohyoid and structures superficial to hyoglossus, and structures lying in the posterior part and structures lying in the posterior part were divided into superficial, deep, and deepest. Here now, the contents are very traditionally described the way we describe any other content. So there will be arteries. What arteries will be there? Common carotid artery. Common carotid artery. This common carotid artery on the right side, it arises from the brachiocephalic trunk, and on the left side, it arises from the arch of aorta. This common carotid artery at the level of the upper border of the thyroid cartilage. The upper border of thyroid cartilage at the level of C4. It divides into external carotid artery and internal carotid artery. Internal carotid artery gives no branches in neck. External carotid artery gives 8 branches. Of these 8 branches, 5 branches are given in carotid triangle, and they are important for us. The remaining 3 branches are given in the parotid gland we have already studied. Now, how do I remember these 5 branches? Just remember the structures in the neck. Firstly comes thyroid, then comes tongue, then comes face. So, thyroid branch, lingual branch, facial artery, okay, and then it also gives ascending pharyngeal artery. It's a medial branch, ascending pharyngeal artery. These 3 were anterior. And occipital artery. And occipital artery. We have come across occipital artery. This occipital artery, it uh, was seen in the roof and as the content of the posterior triangle and in the occipital triangle, occipital part of the posterior triangle. So these are the arteries. Common carotid artery, contents of the carotid triangle. Common carotid artery, with that there will be carotid body and the carotid sinus also. Carotid body, carotid sinus, all those structures will also be there. Divides at the level of C4, upper border of thyroid cartilage, into internal and external. Internal doesn't give any branch in the neck. External carotid gives 5 branches: thyroid, lingual, facial, ascending pharyngeal, and second, veins. Vein Along running with the carotid is internal jugular vein. Right? They are the part of the carotid sheath. Three structures lie in the carotid sheath: the carotid artery, internal jugular vein, and vagus nerve. So, internal jugular vein. Draining into the internal jugular vein will be common facial. Common facial. Also draining into it will be pharyngeal vein. So we are picking up names from here. There was ascending pharyngeal artery. So now I am writing pharyngeal vein. Also draining into it is lingual vein. So these will be the, and the third part is the nerve. So arteries, veins, and now third part I'm talking about is nerve. Now the mnemonic for this nerve is VHS. Huh? VHS. The nerves you will remember as VHS. This mnemonic was designed by Dr. Kishore Kushal. He was the one who told me. Vishwa Hindu Sabha. And why I am talking about Vishwa Hindu Sabha? Now I'll tell you. V vagus. H hypoglossal. And Sabha. Sabha means many people, right? Sabha means many people. So spinal accessory, then the sympathetic chain, the spinal accessory, then the superficial laryngeal nerve, so spinal accessory nerve, superficial laryngeal nerve, and the sympathetic chain. The sympathetic chain. So vagus hypoglossal, VHS pneumon. S for Sabha, VH Sabha. We are not concerned about what is V and H. Sabha means many people. So spinal accessory, superficial laryngeal, sympathetic chain. Vagus hypoglossal. Then the next content is carotid sheath. And which will contain basically all these structures. And the next content is lymph nodes. Lymph nodes. So what are the lymph nodes seen over here? They are the deep cervical lymph nodes. Deep cervical lymph nodes, jugulodigastric nodes, jugulo-omohyoid node. That's their name. Okay, jugulodigastric, jugulo-omohyoid. These are the deep cervical lymph nodes. They drain the tongue. Okay, so they will be enlarged in case of cancer. As you are studying this, you must have realized there are structures common in both these triangles, the digastric and carotid, right? So this is the midline and this is the digastric and this is the omohyoid. So one thing you have realized that external carotid artery is passing from the carotid triangle to digastric triangle and enter the parotid. You have realized that hypoglossal nerve is crossing this external carotid artery because it is content of the carotid triangle also, and it is going to the digastric triangle, the hypoglossal nerve. So some contents are common. Some contents are common to the carotid triangle as well as hypophysis. We studied the common carotid artery, it divides here and divides into external carotid and internal carotid. So internal carotid was also there in the deepest, as a deepest structure of the digastric triangle. Okay, so these structures are coming from carotid. So because carotid is below, so many structures from carotid will be passing into digastric, and the internal and external carotid with parotid gland lying between them and many other structures lying between. The hypoglossal nerve is also one of the structures which is crossing both these arteries and is passing. Now we come to our last triangle and we have only 5 minutes to finish this topic. And the last triangle is the muscular triangle. Now this muscular triangle is not, so exactly triangular, but it is mainly formed by the infrahyoid muscles. Okay, now we come to the muscular triangle. It is mainly formed by the infrahyoid muscles. So what are the infrahyoid muscles? So suppose this, what I'm drawing for you right now is the hyoid bone like this. So there are three structures. There are three structures lying in the neck, and then there is hyoid bone, and then there is thyroid cartilage. I'm just drawing gross structures. Huh? Hyoid bone, thyroid cartilage, and then lower down here is the sternum, manubrium and sternum. Previously, before the expressway started, we used to go from Mumbai to Lonavala. We used to have a break at Lonavala and then we used to go to Pune. Now the expressway has started, nobody stops at Lonavala, they go directly to Pune. So that the reason I'm telling you this is there are muscles now of these names. Suppose this is the midline and this is the left side, this is the right side. I'll draw the deep structures here. So previously when there was no expressway, we used to go to Bombay to Pune. So this muscle starting from sternum to thyroid will be called as sternothyroid. This muscle running from thyroid to hyoid will be called as thyrohyoid. So these lie in the midline of the neck. Covering all of them, both of them is a muscle running from sternum to hyoid. That will be called as sternohyoid. So basically, Bombay to Lonavala, Lonavala to Pune. Sternothyroid, thyrohyoid. And one is direct, covering both of them. Thyrohyoid. It doesn't stop at thyroid. So sternothyroid, thyrohyoid. And then there is omohyoid. Then there is the omohyoid muscle. On both the sides. Okay. Omohyoid muscle. All these muscles, they are supplied by a nerve called as ansa cervicalis. Ansa cervicalis. This ansa cervicalis nerve is formed by the C1, C2, and C3. Okay. So let me just draw this and we'll finish with the muscular triangle. So the ansa cervicalis nerve since we have only 1 minute with us, this is C1, this is C2 and C3. So the C1, forms its one root and C2 forms its other root. So C2 forms its inferior root, C1 forms its superior root, and the branches go like this. One goes to inferior belly of omohyoid, one goes to sternothyroid, one goes to sternohyoid, one goes to inferior belly of omohyoid, one goes to sternothyroid, one goes to sternohyoid. The superior root will supply the superior belly of omohyoid. Okay, and thyrohyoid is supplied by the C1 directly, thyrohyoid. So all the lower down, the sterno muscles, sternohyoid, sternothyroid, omohyoid, these are all supplied directly by this nerve called as ansa cervicalis, formed by C1, C2, C3. This C1 forms the superior root, which directly supplies thyrohyoid. It also supplies superior belly of omohyoid. And then the ansa cervicalis, the superior root supplies the superior belly of omohyoid, and ansa cervicalis actually supplies three of these infrahyoid muscles: sternohyoid, sternothyroid, and inferior belly of omohyoid. These muscles are very important because they are covering the thyroid gland. So while operation on thyroid gland, they are supposed to be retracted. They are supposed to be retracted. These muscles, those who are getting attached to hyoid bone will depress the hyoid, or they may elevate the thyroid. That will be their action. It will depress the hyoid or elevate the thyroid. These muscles, sternohyoid, it will depress the thyroid, right? Its action will be to depress the thyroid. Thyrohyoid will depress the hyoid or elevate the thyroid. Now, the the this muscle, which is running sternohyoid directly from sternum to hyoid, it will depress the hyoid. So those who are attached, the infrahyoid muscles, those who are attached to hyoid from below, the superior belly, sternohyoid, thyroid, they'll depress the hyoid. And those who don't reach up to hyoid, the sternothyroid one, it will depress the thyroid. Okay, so that will be the action of these muscles. With that, it's exactly 9 o'clock and I stop here. Thank you so much.